seeing a few people as we've been rotating through the sites. And let's see if we can get a few people to talk to me right now. So let's try to start with Carlos out in Okmulgee. If you push on your mic and talk to me, say hello.
Hello, Dr. Martinez. How's it going?
Well, I'm recuperating, but that's a long story. I'll tell you about that in a minute, okay?
Sounds good.
Glad you can hear me. Let's go down to Frederick and see if we can hear from Teresa and Janine down there. Okay, do you know if Julie's going to come this evening? Teresa?
Yes, she's going to be here.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, okay? Is the reception okay? Remember, make sure you hold down your microphone. Okay, now I can. Yeah, there was a little while there where I couldn't hear you at all, but I think that's okay. All right, let's try to get down to Idabel. Lawrence, why don't you go ahead and hit on your mic and talk to me? Let me see. Janine or Teresa, did you turn off your microphone?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Lawrence, why don't you try again? Okay, we're not getting Lawrence yet. I saw you for a little bit, Lawrence, so I know we're trying to get there. Let me try over at Weatherford and see if Bill Ward is there. Bill, are you there? If you are, please talk to me. Okay, doesn't seem like we've got Bill yet. I thought I saw Weatherford just for an instant. Looks like we're kind of stuck right there on Frederick. Ladies, I've been seeing you for about the last minute or so constantly. I'm not sure if that means that your mics are on by accident or not. No, here we go. Okay, now we're rolling. I see Black, and now I see Tulsa, but I know we're not going to have any students in Tulsa tonight. And let's see where else we're going to roll. To here, as we bear with the technology for a moment. That looks like that might be Weatherford there, but I don't see Bill yet. That appears to be Weatherford, so maybe Bill will show up in a little while. And hopefully we're coming your way, Lawrence, so hold on there. We're in blackness right now. That must be space. Just hold on for a little bit.
I like this guy.
And see if we can roll over to Lawrence down in Idabel. Well, I see Woodward, but I know we're not going to be having any students tonight in Woodward. There's Lawrence. Lawrence, talk to me.
He's the one who had trouble last time.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
Dr. Martinez, I can't hear you.
You can or you cannot? Can you see me? Can you see me? Lawrence, go ahead. Can you see me? Can you see me?
I can see you, but I can't hear you, Dr. Martinez.
Okay.
Do you know sign language?
Just a minute.
Is this Woodward?
Yeah.
Is the volume on the TV set up? How's that? I'm getting a telephone call. This is Dr. Martinez. Yes. Okay. Let me try one thing real quick here. Okay. This is going to be for Lawrence.
We hear it.
Is the volume on the TV up?
Is that?
Yeah, we had a receive line
Lawrence?
error.
Lawrence?
Probably due to all that echo feedback from the audio.
Dr. Martinez?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Put me on hold. We're gonna try to keep talking here just to see if you can hear me. And Lawrence, if you hear me, you let me know.
We've got another problem besides the volume on the set, Dr. Martinez. We're trying to figure out what it is.
Okay. I seem to be getting audio to you.
What's that say at the top?
I don't know.
I am going to volume is on the control board. Okay. Well, we're going to keep on trying to get to you. Tyson? Yes. Okay. Seems like they're trying to now write messages to me. Yeah. Try to write another note here. Let's see. The same problem last night. One net fixed at originating end. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez.
Okay, Lawrence. We'll work on it. Down there. Let's go ahead and go over to Okie for a moment. If we can. Let's see. Carlos, can you push on your mic?
My mic is on.
Okay. I need to tell Lawrence to get his off, so. Okay.
Are we muted right now? Dr. Martinez, right now we have a severe echo in the system. Everything you say is repeated 2 or 3 times.
Okay, what about now?
The echo's now gone.
Okay, I think the problem is that Lawrence had his microphone on, and that's the reason why it was echoing there. Okay, now let me ask I'm just going to go from place to place right now. Carlos, you've got your mic down, right?
Right now it's on, yes.
Okay, first, do you have any questions about it? Well, first, did you receive the materials in the mail yet?
No, I have not received them yet.
Okay, that answers my question for you. Okay, let's go over to Weatherford. Bill, I can see you. How you doing, Bill? Go ahead and talk to me. Well, Bill, I just lost you. Hold on for a second, Bill. I'll tell you when to go ahead and talk. Let's go down to Frederick. Frederick, go ahead and push on your mic. Did you receive any of the material?
It off and then it disappears, so you'll know that the mic is open.
Okay.
You received the syllabus?
Yes.
But it's like,
Anything else?
only time we're echoing is when he goes to, what was it, Woodward? The only time we echo
Okay,
is
good,
there.
good. So
These
when
other
did you get
sites
that?
are not echoing.
Yeah.
Got that today.
If he comes back and asks
Okay,
anything
good.
like that, you might tell him that.
Did you get it there at the school or was that at home?
Gary, Julie, and I got ours at school, and then Janine got hers at home.
Okay, but Janine did get hers today?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Let's try to go down to Lawrence one more time. Lawrence, push on your mic. Oh, Lawrence can't hear me, so he doesn't know. That's okay. Let's go over to Weatherford, see if those people in Weatherford can talk to me here in just a minute. Bill, go ahead and try to talk to me, Bill. Now, it doesn't look like I'm going to get you unless I actually see you when the, again, rotation goes through. When we hit Weatherford, Bill, I'm going to tell you to talk to me, okay? Bill, go!
Yes, I received mine today.
Great, thank you, Bill. We lost you, Bill. I wish we could hold on you, and maybe we'll try to do that. Hold on for a second, a little bit later on tonight. We're going to try to hold at different locations for a while to see if I can get your questions. Right now, we're just trying to work out the audio problem getting down to Idabel. Lawrence, can you hear me yet? I have to make a sign for Lawrence to see if Lawrence can hear me yet. I'll do that on another piece of paper here in just a minute. Lawrence, can you hear me yet? Hold on, we'll get there. I guess not, so we'll just go ahead and start up, okay? First of all, I want to go ahead and tell you all, again, I appreciate you hanging in there with the technical difficulties. Things are going to happen like this, and until we can get the system working the way it should, which will probably take us another couple of weeks, it's going to take us the first 10 or 15 minutes of class. Bill, did you have a question?
I was just curious if we're supposed to be getting our books with the syllabus.
Okay, thank you for asking that question. The books have been ordered, but I don't think you'll probably get them until maybe the end of this week. I made a telephone call today to try to find out what the status of that was, and I was told that they were ordered and you should be getting them in the mail. They're going to your home address, or in the cases of the folks down in Frederick, to the school for some of those. And so hopefully you should have them before next class period, okay? So I guess, Bill, you got the syllabus and the other materials as well. Lawrence, can you hear me yet? In Idabel? Nothing yet? Okay. That's a shame. We're going to try to go on without us because we can't stay here for a while. We also have another student in class tonight that I'm going to show all of you right now for a moment. Godfrey, push on your microphone, Godfrey. This is Godfrey Kafati. Godfrey is from, tell us where you're from, Godfrey.
I'm from Malawi, that is Central Africa.
Central Africa. And tell us what you're studying.
Here I've come to study Masters in Education.
Good. And you started your Master's in Technical Education. All right, good. Well, welcome to the class, Godfrey. Let's see, that's Carlos. Wave, Carlos. Say hello. There he is. Carlos is over there. That's Bill. Say hello, Bill. We lost Bill. And we should be coming over to Fred. Oh, we're back to Carlos. You just want to hog the screen, don't you, there? We'll see if we can rotate to the other sites and introduce you to the other folks we have here tonight. We should have Teresa and Janine over. Oh, there's Woodward, but there's nobody there, and I don't know why we're, usually we have Woodward on another class. It seems to be circulating on this class as well. Janine or Teresa, go ahead. There you are. Wave at us, Janine and Teresa. Just went for a moment there. And then, of course, you saw Lawrence a little while ago down in Idabel. There they are. All right. Good. Okay. We'll come back to me now. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Lawrence, cut your mic. Okay. That should take care of the echo problem. Okay. Very good. I have to keep these signs ready because I don't know which one I'm going to use when we go. Okay. First thing I'd like to do tonight is I'd like to kind of do a little overview of the kinds of things that we talked about last week, just as a refresher, okay? Last week when we talked a little bit about the overview, we mentioned that we have a lot of change in our workplace here in the United States. The workplace is changing. The organizations is changing quite a bit. It's changing in a couple of different ways. One is in terms of total quality management and technology. Total quality management as, well, I guess maybe I should ask if you know what total quality management is. Let's go ahead and ask Carlos if he has any idea. Carlos, do you know what TQM is, or have you heard of TQM before?
I'm not 100% familiar with it. I have heard of it.
Okay. What do you think it means?
I believe it means just managing the quality of everything throughout the whole company.
Absolutely, you're right there in terms of a general idea. What about over in Frederick? Ladies, have you heard this idea of total quality management?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other ideas besides what Carlos said?
This, the business structure, everything from the top to the bottom.
Exactly right, yeah. Y'all are right on target in terms of talking about the structure from the top to the bottom and looking at quality. Actually, total quality management is a way of doing our work. You may be familiar with the commercial on television. I think it's really by the Saturn automobile company, where the line worker is able to actually stop the automobile manufacturing line when he notices something wrong, when there was a flaw in terms of the quality. And so now the worker has the power to stop or to halt production because of the issue that everyone should be looking for quality. And what goes along with that also means is that there must be constant improvement, that all of us as workers must be looking to how to improve ourselves. So in order to improve ourselves, that means that usually there needs to be more training and lifelong learning. These ideas of total quality management means that everyone is, I'll go back to, again, the slide, that total quality management is one where everyone is concerned with quality, not just certain people like the, let's say, managers, or we used to have quality control officers. In these days, again, those kinds of positions are reducing because we want everyone to be, let's say, concerned about quality and the quality of the product or the quality of the service that we are providing to our customers. And also last week we talked a little bit about technology, how technology is changing all the jobs and the workplaces in which we work. And in order to keep up with technology, that again, we also need to be trained. We also need to have either short or perhaps even continuing courses and education to keep up with the various kinds of technology that are affecting our job and affecting the workplace. So those are some very important points. However, a lot of people sometimes kind of look at change in a skeptical way, and they may ask the question, is this the flavor of the month? And what that kind of means is, in other words, is this just a fad or is this just a trend? In other words, are things going to eventually change? So why should I learn this if this is not going to stay? Why should I bother to learn this when tomorrow it's not going to be here anymore? And in education, sometimes this has really happened to us quite a bit. Certain kinds of learning, certain kinds of strategies have come in and out of education over the years, and teachers have kind of said, well, that's just a trend, that's going to go away, I don't have to learn this stuff, it's not going to stay. So that kind of mentality about having something be kind of like the flavor of the month sometimes prevents us from learning and keeping up what's going on. In other words, we usually have to have some good reasons to change. Whether that's change in the workplace or whether that is change in the classroom. You're usually going to have to need some good reasons to change. One of the reasons that we talked a little bit about last week was that now and today we have a global economy. Indeed, a global economy and thus global competition. What a global economy and global competition means for us is that our workers must now be able to have the skills, the competencies that workers from any place in the world have, if not better competencies or better skills in order to keep our economic edge. When we look at countries that we'll call perhaps the third world countries or developing countries, we say that their workforce has not been trained to the degree of the first world countries, where the workforce has greater or better both academic and technical education, because education is the foundation for the people to become good workers in an economy that is now based, again, on a global competition or a global marketplace. I think having Godfrey here is one sign about his country's investment in wanting him to know about new, let's say, techniques and technical education. Godfrey, would you say that that's true? Would you say that?
Yes, I think it's true, because most of our technical systems in our country have been upgraded, but because we don't have the financial muscle and the people to manage them, so that's why they are saying here, at least it's something.
So without the workforce having those skills, the technology is really not going to help you.
One, because nobody can manage them.
I think that these kinds of issues are some of the issues that I will call overview issues, and I'll go back to this again, that will help us understand why, again, the integration is so important. Again, business has some very important concerns. Business wants to make sure that we have a long-term customer focus in a best service culture. Now, there's some very loaded terminology there in that statement that I've got there in front of you. I'll let you write that down here just a minute. Long-term customer focus in a best service culture. Long-term customer focus in a best service culture. What do you think this means in terms of this statement here? to Frederick for right now and ask Teresa or Janine. What do you think this means, ladies? Teresa, can you hear me out there?
We're having someone feed over you. We're having trouble hearing.
Oh, that was the same trouble we had last week, right?
Yes, there's another instructor doing a class, and we can see feeds over you, and we can't hear you.
That go all the time?
Well, it just started about 2 minutes ago.
But it's happening right now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call my master control person here, let him know what's going on. I just got a report from Frederick that they are getting another audio signal on top of mine of a different course. Let me ask over here to Carlos, can you hear me okay without any problem?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, Carlos says I'm clear on his signal. Okay, I believe they're doing that. Let's go back to Frederick. Janine or Teresa, is your technical assistance person there to help you?
No, they're not.
Oh, they say that no one is there. Yeah.
She's going to go see if she can find someone.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
She's going to see if she can find someone, Teresa.
Okay, they're going to go see if they can find somebody. But maybe you could also call OneNet and just report it over there, Tyson. Okay, have we got anything from Idabel? Okay, thanks a lot. Bye. Okay, Frederick, we're going to try to track down the audio problem. If I get closer to the mic, does that help any?
A little bit, but she still overrides you.
What about if I do this?
Yeah, but if she's talking at the same time, I can hear her over here.
Wow, I'm really sorry that this is happening. We'll see what we can do to try to get this fixed, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can talk a little bit here for a moment, and we're going to see if we can take care of these technical difficulties here. I'm going to go ahead and hold the mic for a little bit here, closer to me to try to get, again, a clear signal over to Frederick and down to the other sites as well. Again, hang in here. We'll try to work this out, okay? Let's go back to what I was talking about earlier about, again, our concerns of business wanting a long-term customer focus and a best service culture. Basically, I think what business is looking at is they want a customer to stay with them for a long period of time. In other words, they of course they want new customers, but they want customers to come back. And then a best service culture goes back to that idea of TQM, to provide the best service, quality service for all their customers as much as they can. Also, in business, we have now more than ever the establishment of work teams where we have greater interdependence between workers. Also, we are asking workers that they self-manage themselves quite a bit, and we have more quality control given to the employees as well. And this is a very different kind of work environment than what we've had in the past. Work teams means that, again, we would need people to have collaboration skills, that they work in cooperation with each other to produce the product or to provide the service. Greater interdependence, again, here is where we talk about where people, again, work together rather than every worker just doing one job and then passing it on to the next worker so that worker can do their job. In other words, we're not doing the assembly line work like we've done in the past, but workers are interdependent. They rely on each other in order to get the job done. In terms of self-management, here is where, again, the trend to get rid of middle management has been happening. We've heard the trend for downsizing for quite some time. And the downsizing many times happens right here in the management area because we're getting rid of middle managers and we're asking employees or workers to manage themselves, to go ahead and make sure that they can be a person that can regulate their own time, that can write a self-report, that can do a self-critique, that can write like their own self-improvement plan, and so they kind of manage themselves. And then finally, the issue of quality that we talked about earlier in terms of TQM is a very important part here. So quality, self-management, interdependence, and work teams are different environments that we must be preparing students to be able to do a good job in. And then finally, in terms of what business is concerned about, is that we're getting rid of entitlement programs and where we want to hold workers accountable for success and earning. I'm going to pause for just a moment here. We're getting rid of the entitlement kind of mentality, and we're beginning to hold workers accountable for success and earnings. Now, when we talk about entitlement, basically we were saying that we owe people things. If a person has been on the job for 15 years, regardless of how well or how poor that person did, we owed them something. In other words, the seniority kind of system, where it was time on the job rather than how well you performed on the job, which made a difference in terms of pay, which made a difference in terms of promotions. So we're changing that. Instead of saying that we are entitled to something based on the amount of time that we performed, but rather we're going to earn it by the quality of the performance. We're going to try to establish some type of an accountability system which is performance-based rather than, let's say, entitlement-based. And so business is concerned about that. And I think here recently there's lots of other issues that business are concerned with when we consider the UPS strike that happened not too long ago, where, of course, there were many different issues that were being contested between the union and management of UPS. One of those issues was the work of part-time employees versus full-time employees. And there's other companies, not only just UPS, but others which have kind of adopted a policy of hiring people on part-time rather than a full-time basis, because mainly if you have part-time, you don't have to pay benefits such as health insurance and other kinds of retirement benefits to part-time employees, and so therefore the company doesn't spend as much money in that employee benefit, or actually no money for employee benefits if you have part-time workers. And one of the issues that the UPS union, the employees union, which really was the, I believe it was, I'm losing my mind here. It was the Teamsters. There it comes. The Teamsters union were saying that they wanted UPS to hire more full-time rather than part-time. That was undercutting, again, the ability of the workers to, first of all, have members of the union, because part-time members could not be members of the union, and undercut their ability to be able to fight for what they perceive to be equal employment and those kinds of issues, along with others. But another issue, I think, was the idea of performance and being able to establish strict performance standards for pay raises and for promotions, rather than going on, let's say, the traditional entitlement system, which many companies have had for a long time. And that even goes in the professional ranks as well. Many times, if you look at teacher salaries, when you get a teacher career salary schedule, it's not necessarily based on performance, but it might be based on the number of years that a teacher spends teaching in the school. And because of that, again, performance may not necessarily be the strongest case there. I'm going to stop for a moment and ask Teresa, are we still having the audio problem there in Frederick?
Yes, Teresa's still looking for someone, but she is still talking over you.
Okay, Janine, I guess it's very loud over me.
Yes, it's very loud over you.
Oh boy, I'm really sorry about that. Well, what I want to do now, even though it may not be as effective, I'm going to keep on going here and try a few other things here. Let's keep on going. Let's look at a few other points. Schools have also needed to be reformed. And curricular reform that emphasizes the integration of academic concepts with real-world problems and job-related tasks using flexible teaching methods have been one large area of reform. And I'll go ahead and pause for a moment so you can write that down. One area in school reform has been curricular reform that emphasizes the integration of academic concepts with real-world problems and job-related tasks using flexible teaching methods. Now, this curricular reform, again, talks about what this class is central to, and that is the idea of integrating academic and vocational or occupational tasks, problems, and contexts. Also, our schools, their curricula and guidance programs are currently oriented towards serving college-bound youth. This has been one area of reform that many schools and school districts have been reluctant to even consider a change. Our schools, again, have been oriented toward serving the college-bound student or the college-bound youth. And we know that not every student is going to go to college. We know that a lot of the students who start to go to college don't graduate from college. As a matter of fact, most students in the United States do not attain a college degree. Many do go to college, many do attain college hours, many do receive an associate's degree, but a bachelor's degree, in terms of we look at the entire population, is really held by less than 1/4 of the population. There are many times when we can look at how many students from a graduating class in high school actually go to college. school, some higher than others. But mostly, we can have a general sense that somewhere between 40 and 60% of a given graduation class from any given high school will attend college the next year. But if we look at that, let's say that's 50%, just take the average there, of 50% of the students trying to go to college. How many of that 50% is in school the second year? And you can cut that in half. In other words, 50% of the 50% is still in school in the second year of college. So now we're down to about 25% of that graduating class. Now, how much of those folks actually go through and get those degrees? About another 50%. So we're talking somewhere really between 12, 15, and maybe at the most 20%, at the most, of any graduating class actually getting a bachelor's degree of any kind. So what happens to the other 80 to 75% of the students? Are they prepared to be able to work in our economy? Are they prepared to be able to have an independent lifestyle without a college degree? But since schools are oriented so much toward college, that may mean that we have a misfocus in our schools. And that's one of the points that we're going to talk about tonight. The results of the excellence movement and the consequent imposition of higher standards, students have found themselves falling even further behind than before. Again, the excellence movement, and certainly I have no, let's say, I don't have a quarrel with excellence. I believe excellence is very, very important in all phases of education. But when we start imposing higher standards, such as more, let's say, math, more science, more English or language arts classes, and just putting on more graduation requirements, then students have less opportunity to be able to take any other kind of technical, occupational course that may help them in going on for their working careers. And students themselves find themselves falling even further behind because of these kinds of situations. If we are to face the human resource challenges of the next decade, we must realign our educational priorities to include all of the students the school is there to serve, and not just a portion. Because again, it seems that our schools have been geared toward preparing people for college, and not necessarily preparing people or our students for life after high school. And the human resource challenges are great. A lot of you may have heard that a lot of companies are dissatisfied with students and whether or not students have have the competencies that they feel that will be good enough for them to enter the workforce. And let me tell you, there's a big difference, I think, right now between what students think and what employers think that they have in terms of workplace skills. They're ready to get a job out in the workplace. And a little bit later tonight, hopefully when we fix our audio problems, I'm going to show you some videotape that will dramatically illustrate the need again for all students that graduate from high school to be ready to go into the workforce or ready to go into post-secondary education, not just one of those options. But all of our students need to be served and served so that way they can participate in our society. I'm going to put our microphone down a little bit, and I'm going to show you now the latest issue of our journal from the American Vocational Association. I talked a little bit about it last week. It's called Techniques, and title. This is the latest issue of Techniques. It centers a lot on the image building issue, but inside I happened to notice that there was a little graph, and I'm going to zoom in on it here a little bit, that says, who's ready for work? And it talks about how high school seniors think they're far more qualified for the workforce than employers do. That according to a survey that appeared on the front page of USA Today in June 26, each group offered very different answers when asked if the students were very well prepared for these job skills. And so if we look at this, we can see that students working in diverse groups, students thought, 66% of them thought that they were very well prepared to do this. Only 13% of the employers felt they were ready to do this. In oral communication skills, over half, 57% of the students felt they were ready to, let's say, communicate effectively, whereas employers only 9% did. In terms of other areas, written communication, the students, as you can see, 45% there thought that they were ready, whereas in the employers, only 6% thought that they were ready or had good enough skills. In ability to meet deadlines, the students, 62% said they could do it. The employers said only 8% thought that the students were ready to do it. With basic math skills, 62% of the students thought that they had the competencies. 8% said that they had the competencies here, but the employers. And in basic computer skills, well, the students are saying, yeah, we don't have those computer skills. Only 28% of the students thought that they had good computer skills. Only 14% of the employers thought that they had good computer skills. That's an interesting comment to look at in terms of what these folks think. Because truly that's what we're talking about, is what we perceive, what we think. A student may come out of school saying, I think I am ready, but may not actually be ready. The employers are telling us they're not ready. And only, again, 60%, maybe less, or maybe more, maybe, let's say 70% of the students that graduate from high school will be in the workforce 1 to 2 years after they graduate from high school, and they don't have the skills. That can have a very strong impact on not only their ability to get a job, but our country's economy. Because the employers are having to either retrain the high school graduates so that they can have the skills in order to work, which means the employers are having to, again, let's say, spend more of their own money. And we know that training right now is a multi-billion-dollar endeavor by business and industry. Or it also means that we have to hire more people because we need more people to get the right job done, because too many people are making mistakes. Or we mean that there's a high turnover rate. We hire people, try to get them a job, they work for a while, they don't perform, we get rid of them, we hire somebody else. You kind of begin to get the picture here of why maybe some employers are reluctant to hire people full time until they can prove themselves, and maybe that may be giving the reason why they're hiring people part-time, on a part-time basis, until they can prove they have the skills. But also what this means is that they are very critical of the education system, that they're telling us that our students do not, and have the skills, do not have the abilities that they need to have. I want to show you another piece that I thought was interesting. I'm going to zoom out here a little bit on this and go to the next page. And there is another interesting little piece of research here that's done that talked about computers, and it's there at the bottom. Let me zoom in on this. And I'll move that over a little bit. It said, vocational programs use computers the most. It says, nearly 70% of respondents agree that computers contribute to improving students' skills, especially in computer abilities, vocational programs, and language arts. Computers are most widely used in teaching language and vocational education. Okay? That was a very interesting point on a study that was made. Let me move that up here, a little over so you can see this a little bit better. There we go. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more here. If you can see that, most popular instructional uses of computers, 53% in vocational programs, 52% in reading, language, and writing, 35% in science and health, 33% in math, 32% in non-curriculum activities, 19% in history and social studies, 10% in arts and music. Now, let's make the connection back to that previous point that said that only 28% of the students felt they had computer skills, right? But only 28% felt they had good computer skills. We go back to this and we see how computers are so important in the workplace. But only 28% feel that they've got good skills. This is not serving the economy. This is not helping people be ready for work. So we still have some problems, okay? We still have some problems. Even though here in the United States, we have a good education system, there's no doubt about it, but we still need to work on it. Let me show you one more piece that was in here that I thought was also pretty interesting. This is one that talked about teachers' professional, up here at the top, teachers' professional development activities. And it broke it down into professional development activities and the percentage, and then school district support. And we'll look at that first one first in terms of the actual activities, right? Professional development activities. What teachers are being trained to use, right? Well, not too surprising, most of the teachers that responded said using educational technology, yeah, they were getting that pretty well, okay? And by the way, the green means, I'll move this so you can see that, public education, and the blue means private education schools, okay? So that's why you've got two different ones there, okay? So the public school teachers, 51% are getting technology, 39% in the private school. Methods of teaching in specific subject field, we have 55% of the teachers saying, yes, we're getting in-service there, and 51% in the private. In-depth study in specific field here, 28 and 29%. Student assessment, pretty good amount, 46 and 35. Cooperative learning in the classroom, 49%, a little bit lower in the private sector, okay? But we don't have anything that talks about the integration of academic and vocational education. And this is interesting. Now, these were in 1993-94. Okay, realize, you understand here, this is something I really want to make this, that many times it takes a while before results of national research to get into print. It may take a year or two. Okay, now I foresee this gap getting shorter because of things like the internet, but still, it is, I'm looking at this information. I'll punch it up again, and as you can see, this comes from 1993-94, which is basically 4 to 3 years ago. Okay, 4 to 3 years ago, these are the things that the teachers were being trained on. Okay, and we don't see integration yet. Hopefully, we will pretty soon. What is the school district support here? Okay, release time from teaching, we've got 44 and 39%. Scheduled time for professional development, about a third. Travel and per diem expenses to help them get professional development, a little bit more than a fourth. Tuition and fees, well, this is kind of neat. The private schools seem to be paying more for their teachers to get professional development and to pay for tuition and fees than the public schools are. I'm not really surprised there, really. Professional growth credit, a lot of times this has to do with recertification and getting certification for your teaching credentials, 29%, 21%, and then none of any of those happen to be a little bit more than a quarter of that of what the school district supported for their teachers, okay? So basically what we've got here is we've got some very interesting data that talks about how students perceive their skills versus employers. We see a big gap there. We see the use of technology really being used to learn a lot in the vocational programs and the language programs. The other academic programs, we don't see the computer in there as much, but I will predict that that will increase. And then when we look at, again, how teachers are being in service, technology is strong, and that's good because, again, technology is one of the things that's making our classrooms and laboratories change, and we do need that. And then, of course, we have other kinds of in-service in terms of assessment and subject matter expertise, but we don't have the integration yet. It's not coming through, but I believe that it will in the not-too-distant future. I want to sum up a little bit in terms of the need for integration. Why do we need it? Let's look at some important points here. Traditional high schools are not designed for the majority of students. Courses in high schools that are required for high school diplomas emphasize abstract reasoning. And of course, the abstract reasoning is what is required or what's needed, again, to go on to college. And a lot of our schools, again, traditional high schools, are not designed for the majority of the students because the majority of the students do not end up going to college. Another issue is that traditional high schools are structured around innate cognitive ability. In other words, intelligence. If a person doesn't happen to have a great deal of innate cognitive ability, then they are at a disadvantage. Then they have a lot of trouble in school. In other words, put this kind of in layman's languages or layperson's languages, that high schools are structured for somebody that is pretty mentally strong. And when we have folks that aren't mentally strong, then generally they have a pretty hard time getting through school, if they get through school at all. Finally, in this section, traditional high school leaders have been unable or unwilling to see that their traditional systems are not effective, despite the criticism, despite what employers are telling us, despite the fact that most of our students do not get college degrees. Still, the system remains the same. Education is slow to change in many areas, but this is changing to some degree, and the integration of academic and vocational education is one area in which it's happening. The School to Work program has helped to push this along here in the United States, and many leaders are beginning to see that they've got to do a better job in the schools and cannot afford to do the kind of job that has been done in the past. One of the points that I'll make is that in the past, many times our academic system was not held accountable. We had students graduating or going through high school through social promotion rather than through academic achievement. Pardon me. And because of this fact, we had folks leaving our high schools with really very little academic skills. And the academic skills that they did have were questionable. Matter of fact, many times today, that still is the case. We can find students graduating from high school that don't have the basic skills, academic skills, nor any kind of technical, vocational related skills. And these folks are great in number. And it's becoming a serious problem. Because when you can't or you don't have the right skills to function as a citizen in the country, generally you turn to other ways to make a living. And unfortunately, sometimes those lead to crime. Those lead to other kinds of activities that are not positive for our country. And so this is indeed a point that is a serious point that all of us should be concerned about. Vocational and academic teachers working together can make a profound impact on the quality and quantity of education for all students. That's no doubt. There's no doubt there. I have seen it happen. And I think tonight we're going to show you a few examples of that happening in other places around the country. When we are able to team vocational and academic teachers together, they can really make a big impact, pardon me, on the quality and quantity, again, of education. And I think what's important here is for all students. Not just some students, but for all students. And if our educational system is going to succeed, that's something that we need to really concentrate on. Unfortunately, the two have not had or have had very little experience working together. And when I mean the two, I'm talking about vocational and academic teachers. These two groups of teachers have had very little experience working together, and so it's going to be difficult to get them to work together. And if those of you who have received the handouts and have had a chance to read through them, I've put in some barriers and some problems that academic and vocational teachers may have when we're working and doing things along those lines as well, okay? Traditional high schools are not preparing students for life after high school. That's just the way it is. They haven't been able to do it, and high schools have not really been held accountable for preparing their students for life after high school, but rather let's get them through, get them graduated, and bring on the next crew. Whereas vocational technical education is many times held accountable by business and industry because they're not receiving the workers or employees at the skill level that they need to be able to function on the job. So the level of accountability is very different from one to another setting. And I'm going to go ahead and pause right here for a moment. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to get each of you at each one of the sites to talk to me here for a minute, and then we're going to go ahead and take a break and see if we can solve these technical difficulties. Let's start out at Okmulgee. Carlos?
Yes, sir.
Okay, have you been receiving and hearing okay?
Everything looks real good.
Okay, man, you're lucky, boy. Let me tell you, you've been doing good out there, okay?
Thanks.
Okay, let's go over to Frederick now, Janine and Teresa.
Yeah, we have our situation resolved. We can hear you fine.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'm punching up the, there you go, just so you can see yourself. So that's no problem with the audio.
No, we got it taken care of.
That's great. Glad to hear it. Okay, so you were able to get most of what I was talking about earlier?
Probably the last 5 minutes we were able to understand.
Okay, but before that it was difficult.
It was difficult to understand what you were saying.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to, before the end of the class tonight, I'll try to recap just to make sure we're okay, all right?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good. Okay, let's try to go down to Ida Bell Lawrence. Can you hear me yet? I'm going to get on the telephone here real quick on my master control person because we haven't seen Lawrence nor Weatherford for quite some time. Here we are. Hi, Tyson. I've been noticing that in my television, when we're rolling through the sites, I don't see Ida Bell nor Weatherford at all, and I haven't seen them for at least the last 20 minutes. There's Lawrence. I can see Ida Bell now. Weatherford.
Dr. Martinez, can you hear me?
you're holding Weatherford for me? Bill, have you been able to hear all the time?
Yes, I've heard everything. Yeah.
So you don't have any problem with audio or video?
I haven't had any problems yet, no.
Okay, thank you.
Talk to you if I need to talk.
Yes. Okay. Okay, can you punch up Idabel? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can. Lawrence, go ahead. Can you hear me, Lawrence?
Did you understand what I was saying, Dr. Martinez? I have to come in here to talk to you. I'm in another room. I have audio and video, but in order to talk to you, I have to come in here. There's no camera in there, and there's no way to talk to you in there. I have to come in this room from the other one.
You hear that? Hear that? Okay, Lawrence says down in Idabel that he has to go to another room where he can hear and see me, because he can't apparently, well, I think he can see me, but he can't hear me from the room that he's in. So he has to go to another room to hear and see me both, and from his room, he can talk to me on his microphone. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Oh, that's okay, that's okay, we'll work it out, we'll work it out. Okay, hold on for a second. Keep it up, right there.
Yes? I have video here, but I have no audio. I have audio and video in the other room, but I can't talk to you and you can't see me in that room. Okay, that's where I've been.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, thanks. Okay, everyone, I think we're going to be able to work this out. I want to go ahead and take about a 15-minute break right now. I've got about 20 minutes till 8. So that means that 5 minutes till 8, we'll come back and I'm going to show you a video that I think you'll find to be real interesting, and we'll make the points that we've been talking about tonight, okay? So let's go ahead and take about a 15-minute break, and then we'll be right back. Of techniques. And what it is a section that's an interview with our acting Assistant Secretary for Employment and Training in the U.S. Department of Labor, Mr. Raymond Walde. And there's a section on here that I wanted to just briefly review with you. Here's where it talks about, I do not believe that it is up to the schools to turn out certain numbers of computer programmers or medical technicians, nor do I believe that communities want their high schools to exist merely to serve the workforce demands of industry. However, there is a growing awareness among educators, parents, and employers that the profound changes taking place in the American labor market require new skills and knowledge for success in the 21st century economy. The proportion of unskilled jobs once comprised the bulk of the jobs has fallen to 20%, while the ranks of skilled jobs have risen to at least 60%. And this is a dramatic change. That's why I and many others think there is a need for states and local school systems to adopt widely agreed upon academic and skill standards to guide their instructional programs so we can ensure that all students have what it takes to succeed in our new knowledge-intensive economy. I believe that schools and communities want their children to have successful lives and to be productive members of their community. School-to-work opportunities can provide this path. That's what's being talked about today. I want to show you a videotape that again aired a couple of years ago. It was hosted by Tom Brokaw of NBC, and I hope that everybody will be able to hear this okay. I do want to ask Lawrence Johnson in Idabel to make sure that his microphone in the other room is turned off. So Lawrence, if you'll run over there and turn it off, make sure it's off, and we'll be fine. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you a videotape. It lasts about 45 minutes.
Oh.
I want to ask you to take notes, okay? Because after it's over, I'm going to ask you for your impressions of what you saw on the videotape. So have a piece of paper handy there to where you see something that you think is important or really kind of strikes a note with you, that we can talk a little bit about it after the tape is over, okay? Okay, here we go.
I pretty much be settled on my own.
They're angry.
You're almost brainwashed into believing yourself. You know what I mean? And you feel like garbage. You feel like you're a piece of dirt.
More and more, they're getting into trouble.
The vast majority come from working middle-class families.
They'll steal ramps off of cars. They'll steal car stereos.
And if something isn't done,
It's going to fragment this nation.
no protocol reform. Tonight, the lost generation. Here is Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. You know, in this country, we've always had reason to believe in the American dream. Good job, family, community. But now something has gone wrong with the American dream. It just isn't there for too many young people, especially those with only a high school education. That's the majority. For them, the American economy these days holds too little promise. Good jobs are disappearing, and there is no sign they'll be back anytime soon. And without a job, what happens to hope? And what about that promise that American kids will always live better than their parents? After all, that's what young people grow up expecting.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history.
Today's graduates were school children when Ronald Reagan promised a future bright with opportunity.
Our job is to see that we turn over to you the same kind of country that our parents turned over to us, in which the sky is up.
It was the 80s. It seemed almost patriotic to be prosperous years.
Flag sales are doing well, and America is doing well.
And America was flaunting it.
People had more money. They were able to spend a lot more money.
Everyday workers, people with only a high school education, were living the secure, good life.
I think you could start with a high school education and get a job where you could get with something and work your way up the old American dream.
That's like part of the American dream, on your own home.
My American dream is when I got a house in the country and 2 kids.
As the kids grew, the economy grew.
Whether you could afford it or not, just spend credit cards, just limit out to unlimited on loan.
But behind all that money and glitter, the economy was beginning to unravel. And with it, the futures of our young.
Something wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is.
The new generation of high school graduates walked out of the classroom into a recession.
As soon as I started getting out of high school, 2 years later, IBM starts laying off thousands of people. All the major businesses are laying off people.
Companies downsized. Good jobs moved overseas. Millions of union jobs were lost. The new so-called service jobs paid far less.
I swore to myself while I was in high school that I'd never ever waitress, and I ended up waitressing.
I worked at all kinds of department stores. I was doing mall jobs. I worked in a restaurant.
I started working here just to make ends meet.
Something wrong with the world today.
the world should be theirs for the taking.
There's this like attitude of defeat, I think, in my generation, a lot of it, because the opportunity wasn't there. When you have these dreams and they just seem too hard to reach, you just give up dreaming.
Millions of young people are trying to find their way. And tonight, many of them will tell you why they are so frightened, why they feel so lost. And we'll show you the beginnings of what could be a way back. In a moment, the lost generation speaks out and reminds us that they are our future.
You have to live check to check. You think about your life day by day. I'm disappointed.
No good paying job here anymore. Nothing that you pay rent.
Bills, electric, water, drink my myself food, and things like that.
They can't have a child, and I want grandbabies. But you can't afford to now.
It's tough to find, a decent job, But it's tough to find a decent job anywhere, I guess.
I came home and it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He usually didn't get home till 4 o'clock, and his truck was sitting up on the side of the house. And something inside just told me they laid him off. And I came in, and he was sitting on the couch, and he had his...
Rob Barger, decorated Marine, high school graduate, hard worker. Only 25 and laid off for the 4th time since leaving the service. Michelle Barger was 8 months pregnant.
He just sat there, and he just looked at me and said, "What are we going to do?"
After you decide to start a family, it's a little late to decide you don't want one because you can't afford it after your wife's pregnant.
This looks like the perfect portrait of an American family. Yeah, a young father, mother, and a baby. But is it the perfect portrait in your judgment?
As far as the family goes, yes. I love my wife, I love my daughter. My wife loves me, my daughter loves me. We all love each other. The only problem is, we're stuck in a rut here. We're just going round and round the same thing. You start to move up in the world, and then you're gone.
Out of work, Rob went on unemployment, and for the first time in his life, he applied for food stamps.
It feels too great when you have to go in there and say, "Look, I need some food. I don't have any food. I'm not going to have any food next week." It's pretty degrading. Sad.
Rob found work after 6 months. He was grateful for the paycheck, but shocked at the wage, just $6 an hour. 3 years ago, doing the same work, making $9. And that's not happening just in Northern Ohio. In the last 10 years across America, young men like Rob have lost a quarter of their income.
We had money. We could go out to dinner. We had insurance for the business. We had all the things that we needed to start our family.
Not anymore. Neither Rob nor Michelle have health insurance. The baby, named Evan, qualifies for government insurance because of Rob's low income. Michelle, when you look at heaven, do you think that her life is going to be better than yours?
I want to see. It's hard to think that it won't be.
Listen to the other ways to go. Does that make you worry?
Yeah.
Like many young people today, Rob and Michelle have it worse than their parents.
My parents, when they bought their house, they were 28. I'm 25 now. I really don't see myself, if things keep going this way they're going now, I don't see myself having a house when I'm 28.
Rob's father made a modest living as a woodworker, but it wasn't enough to buy a home and support his family. He's now glad to help his son when he can, but he's angry.
He was making $9 an hour. Somebody comes in and does it for $6, so let's take somebody to do it for $6. It's their future that's we're throwing away, not mine.
Got a little overtime in this week and got paid today, so we'll go ahead and splurge a little bit.
Sitting in a bucket of balls at the driving range is a rare treat for Rob these days. Vacations, movies, babysitters, they're out of the question. Fun is limited to walks with the family, playing softball, or coaching with his father and brother.
I don't think that I really deserve what happened. You're almost brainwashed into believing it's your fault. You know what I mean? And you feel like garbage. You feel like you're a piece of dirt. You can't do anything,
Everybody thinks they've got it harder than the generation before them, and I honestly do believe that we do now, because everything's just different.
The difference, according to Andrea Martinez, is the lack of quality jobs.
If you're daring enough to have a girlfriend, and get married, and have a kid, and try to survive on a high school education, I'd say good luck.
Martinez runs a jobs program at Norwood High School.
For a high school kid to find a job paying $7.50 an hour, that's a rare find. You got a lot of adults that want that job. You got a lot of college kids that'll take that job.
For most of the years following World War II, America was humming with good-paying manufacturing jobs that were available to high school graduates. In fact, here in Norwood, they like to say that they had more of those kinds of jobs per square mile than any other place in America. So for high school graduates from this area, the prospects were excellent. And the city of Norwood thrived with a fat tax base and big budgets that gave residents good schools and lots of services. At the heart of it all was the General Motors plant. But it shut down in 1987, and it sent the town reeling. Ron Rankin was there for 30 years.
You could go to about any factory and get pretty good money. I hired right in GM out of high school and started making good money right off the bat. I stayed with him till I retired.
For Ron, building cars was more than just a job.
This is one of the bricks that came from the General Motors plant. I went out and picked up half a dozen of them, and I gave them to some of the guys that were retiring, and I've got a few of them left.
It looks pretty clean.
Ron's son Scott worked summers at GM. He had hoped to sign on full time.
They closed it down. Kind of, everybody was like, huh? Oh, man. And they closed it down, and I was like, well, I guess we're going to have to look somewhere else.
Scott found a job at a label manufacturer. He's been there for 4 years. He's making $8.60 an hour. At GM, he would have been making almost twice that. Scott's wife, Lori, works as a telemarketer.
To do it on one income, it would be impossible. How do you want these eggs?
2 cars and household bills eat up both paychecks. For Scott and Lori, like many young couples today, thoughts of the future, thoughts of a family, are on hold.
Kids are very expensive. We need to get rid of some of the bills that we have right now before we add another one that doesn't go away. Salt, pepper.
Scott and Lori have a tenant, Lori's brother. He needs a room. They need help with a mortgage. They bought the house with help from Scott's parents.
They'll do anything we want for us, but yeah, I'm 25 years old. You shouldn't have to ask your parents. I mean, you have to grow up sometime. You shouldn't always have to be there. Your parents shouldn't always have to be there.
You hear, I can't wait till I graduate. I can't wait till I'm out of my mom's house. I want to move out now. You know, I can make it on my own. And then they come back and they say, I wish I could go home. I hate this. I hate that. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do this. They're disillusioned.
They're disillusioned because of the kinds of jobs that are now available in this area. This is where General Motors stood for 63 years. They've offered high-paying, quality jobs, and now this is an area filled with fast food stores, movie theaters, telemarketers. There are jobs, but there are fewer of them at much lower pay. Jobs here for high school graduates start at about $4.50 to $6.50 an hour. Many without benefits, many part-time, no real future. There still are factories in Norwood that pay well, like the U.S. Playing Card Company. But even here, salaries have come down. Downsizing has been severe.
I look pretty extensive for full-time jobs, dropping resumes at basically all the industries around here. And seem to be hiring, not even accepting applications, just resumes.
No job hunting for Dave Lewis today. He attended a college graduation in the morning and his best friend's wedding in the afternoon. At both events, his thoughts turned to jobs.
If I did have a good full-time job and stuff, I would definitely ask her to marry me, yeah. I mean, if I got a job today, I'd probably ask her tomorrow.
That's his girlfriend, Dana. He's been dating her for 3 years.
We already kind of had plans to settle down with each other, but, you know, before we do so, I'd like to be financially secure before I do that.
And that brings us back to the graduation. It's not his graduation or his college. Dave's a security guard, an unpaid security guard. He donates his time to the Xavier University Police, hoping to get a foot in the door.
I'm volunteering my time to do this, and that should really tell someone how much I want to be involved in the law enforcement field.
Dave did go to college for 3 years, but he dropped out because of lack of money and to pursue his new dream of becoming a cop. He says he has something in common with today's graduates.
They went to college, I think, to better themselves, and I think I'm doing this also in a step to better myself.
Okay, you ready? Dave's only income now comes from a part-time job at the YMCA and a summer job at a local pool. He took the test to become a Norwood cop and he scored high, but the city isn't hiring. So this fall, Dave is going to pay his own way through a police academy, hoping there will be a job for him somewhere. Meanwhile, he manages like so many in his generation.
I still live with my parents and pay no rent, no bills. When you're making $6 an hour at a part-time job, there's not much you can do about that. And my parents understand. You know, at 22 years old, I never thought I would be living on them, so I thought I'd pretty much be settled on my own. But, you know, things, as you get older, as I got older, they got harder.
Coming up, those young people who say it's just too hard.
You're lucky. You might get some work behind the counter, doing a sales job, working in a restaurant. They treat you like crap, and if you don't like it, then you go around the house. On how I think the future looks, I kind of get down every once in a while and get mad. A lot of the people I knew got into taking car stereos, shoplifting, sometimes robbing a house.
Across the country, the lack of good jobs, the diminished opportunities are creating angry, alienated young people. A growing number reject society's values and find their own way to survive. In Seattle, the music scene attracts them. Their disillusionment is expressed in deafening, hostile music.
We're totally displeased with the way things are right now in the world.
24-year-old Matt Shaw spends his free time with friends, drinking beer, playing out his frustrations as a guitarist for a Seattle grunge band called Slappy White. Grunge just about says it all. The look, the sound, the attitude describes the way these young people feel.
My high school diploma is a joke, unless you want to work at Jack in the Box or McDonald's.
More than a musical expression, grunge is a lifestyle. Used clothing, hanging out, working off and on in menial jobs. Matt was a Navy medic for 5 years. He thought the GI Bill would put him through college. He's angry it didn't pay off.
$10,000 does not get you too far in college.
Now Matt works nights in a hospital supply room and takes courses at a community college.
Yes, this is Matt. Can I help you?
Like many others, he struggles to deal with the reality that life is not turning out as he planned.
I can totally remember lying in bed when I was in grade school, and I thought, okay, God, just keep it through grade school, cruise through junior high, rough it through high school, get into college, go to college, get a job, get married, no problem. End of story. That was my plan. Didn't work out that way.
Matt is coping, but others, overwhelmed by their frustration, are just giving up.
I don't really relate, and I don't really want to relate sometimes.
21-year-old Mark Simpson is an artist and a fan of grunge. He's angry and he has given up on almost everything.
For me, the frustration is just knowing that there's a lot of things out there that may never be changed, that you want to change. We see that the American dream doesn't really work for us.
Mark says he has found what does work for him and hundreds of Seattle young people.
Like with me, it's Jesus Christ. You believe in him, then you'll be saved, and you don't have to worry about what's going to happen later on in life.
religion is attracting an increasing number of young people who are turning to God for answers. Mark takes his religion home with his friends. The music, the mood, the message are clear. He finds shelter from a dismal life in his daily prayer.
Today's young people that don't have religion as a way of turning to and looking for answers, I believe that those people are lost.
For some it's music, for some it's the Lord, but others express anger in another way and get into trouble, real trouble.
Can I have an application, please?
In Tucson, Arizona, the only jobs the 20-year-old Justin Burdick can get are part-time, low-paying, and dead-end.
I worked at one shoe store. That job got real tiring, and they weren't giving me enough hours, so I quit there.
After graduating from high school, Justin worked at 4 different grocery stores, making less than $5 an hour. Well, he watched some of his friends making money another way.
They'll steal rims off of cars, and they'll steal car stereos and stuff. They steal it, and then they sell it.
While his parents were out of town, Justin went over the edge.
There was a car that had left their window down, and their wallet was there. And my friend took the wallet and looked through it to see if there was any money, and he found the credit card.
Justin went on a shopping spree. He charged $2,000 at grocery stores and gas stations across town.
They would be ringing it up, the cashier, and I just took the credit card and I slid it through the little slot and I pushed credit.
He filled his parents' refrigerator at home and then went back for more, for his sister.
My brother-in-law was unemployed at that time, and they needed some food, so I took them a lot of food.
But food and gasoline were not all that Justin wanted.
I went into Walmart to buy a car stereo for my truck, and that's when they caught me.
What we're really talking about is subcultures that have been disenfranchised.
Kevin Gilmartin, police psychologist of the Pima County Sheriff's Department, says Justin's case is typical.
We see people, young men, young boys, not transitioning into adulthood because they don't have that stabilizing influence of a steady career-long job that has the potential of a stable future for them.
Some of the crimes that we frequently see are fraud, stolen credit cards, bad check writers, some burglars.
It's called scamming, making up the difference between what you earn and what you want. Mary Aviles, who works for the Pima County DA, sees these young scammers every day.
I'm seeing young white males predominantly between the ages of 18 and 24 to 25 years old that I would say 10 years ago we wouldn't have seen.
In Pima County, the crime rate for these young adults is climbing.
The vast majority come from working middle-class families and feel they can't pay their rent, they can't buy food, they can't buy clothing that they're accustomed to.
Justin could have been sentenced to 14 years in prison. Instead of jail, he paid for the stolen items and did community service. For other scammers, drugs run their lives and destroy their futures.
Some of the young people tell me that they abuse the drugs and the alcohol because that's a way of making them forget that they can't have everything.
I guess once you start doing drugs, your values can change pretty fast.
This case involves 15 residential burglaries.
We'd go in, take what we wanted.
And the dollar amount estimated at well over $30,000.
19-year-old Lee Bolai and 3 other friends got hold of master keys from the apartment complex where one friend worked. Pima County Detective L.T. Pratt broke the case.
They hit a total of 6 units here over a 2-day period.
for the things he thought he was entitled to, that he couldn't afford.
I was more into material possessions. I kind of wanted to be there and, in a material sense, have nice things.
A lot of kids like Lee grow up in troubled homes. They don't see much of a future.
I think it started even in elementary school and junior high school, and early years in high school, when children start looking at the impact economically on their parents, on the loss of opportunities of their mothers and fathers.
When Lee thought about life after high school, the picture looked even darker.
When the jobs aren't there, you just either lose your dreams or you get mad. There's not much you can get. If you're lucky, you might get some work behind the counter, doing a sales job, working in a restaurant. They treat you like crap, and if you don't like it, then go rob the house.
Lee was recently sentenced to 4 years in the state prison. But 20-year-old John Garland, a classmate who burglarized the houses with Lee, he's already serving 7 years. Arizona prison policy does not allow inmates to talk on camera.
We'd sit around, a bunch of us, talking about, what we saw in the future, and, all the conversations usually led to a dead end.
John was just 3 months from graduating from high school when he was arrested with a string of burglaries. John and the others were quick to give up on hard work, to turn to crime for easy money. But they do have a warning.
If the younger generations can't look down the road and see where they're going or see anything that they want to go after, then I think it's obvious that they're going to turn to crime, the underworld, drugs, violence, suicide. If they're going to be alienated, they're going to alienate society right back. And they're not only going to alienate it, they're going to try to destroy it.
The school system was geared for those who were determined to go to college and do that.
Yeah.
We all felt that way.
We're just the other ones.
The school code reform will continue.
The standard diploma has the outlet. It's useful. High school doesn't prepare you for nothing. If your parents would sit down with their kids, they would want to learn.
It's too old, it's antiquated, and it's out of date.
It's a high-stakes game.
I'm on side.
To survive in today's economy, education is more important than ever. But what kind of education? Most high schools concentrate on preparing young people for college. After all, that's the American dream. But what about those kids who want to go directly from high school to work? Their preparation is abysmal. Who's to blame? Just about everyone. The community, their parents, the schools, even the kids themselves. It's the beginning of May. Senior Chris Holcomb and Rockdale County High School class of '93 don't have long to stay.
I'm kind of scared of what life is going to throw me.
Chris Holcomb is smart enough to be nervous about his future. Like half the class in the suburban Atlanta school, Chris didn't take college prep courses. His so-called standard diploma didn't require him to learn much of anything useful in today's world.
High school doesn't teach us what we need to know.
Don't use a calculator.
Many of the 155 seniors who aren't going to college made that decision when they were naive freshmen. It allowed them to ignore meaningful academics. They could take an unfocused hodgepodge of elective classes.
How many minutes for sweet potatoes?
Ranging from food preparation to traditional shop courses.
You'll have something solid for it to sit on?
Classes kids hopeful offer some technical training are understaffed and poorly equipped.
Our equipment's outdated.
Because until now, like most schools in America, the priority at this school has been to prepare kids for college.
You call that one out without taking that.
Auto mechanics teacher Don Wolvern says his students are learning on equipment purchased in 1972. Some key machines are beyond repair.
It's kind of useless to teach him something that's antiquated and let him go into the real world and find out that's not what it really is.
They're really not well prepared for the tech schools either.
Rockdale High has people like Peggy Cooper, a guidance counselor. They're not afraid to criticize their own system. They know there has to be a better way.
I think those of us in education have just figured out what the problem is. And then they're, getting the funds for it.
But do you think that the communities and the parents and the systems
community you're talking about. I think that ours is waking up, but it's been very, very slow. Because if parents really realize, then we'd have more bond referendums and more ways of getting funds to make these changes. And it's going to cost for us to make these changes.
But the winds of change don't serve the class of '93.
Did you all feel a little bit like second-class citizens because the school system was geared for those who were determined to go to college and do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You all felt that way.
Yeah. We're just the ones that aren't going to, make anything of themselves.
We're just the other ones.
It's the unconscious pressures.
Despite at least some aptitude and ability, many students acquire no real job skills, not even the most important basic skill, how to learn.
Ready, please?
Some, like senior Colin Hale, admit they don't even try to excel.
If I pass that class, I don't care if I make a C or a B in it, as long as I achieve that goal to pass that class.
Just days before her finals, Christy Hudgens is worried she may fail a class and fail to get even a standard diploma.
And yes, I get dropped in high school. I'm not going to lie to you or whatever, but it's just because I guess I just want to get out of here and go into the real world.
A world for which she seems unprepared.
Cosine squared x is 1 plus cosine 2x over 2.
Rockdale County High's excellent reputation is only measured by the achievement of kids headed for college.
Factor out sine 2.
These calculus students lead a senior class which has won more than $1 million in college scholarships.
Well, thanks.
Community groups recognize their hard work.
Succeeding in life.
But those other kids?
Y'all enjoy your meal, and your server will be with y'all in a few minutes.
Nearly all work hard at part-time jobs. They'd have to pay their own way if they ever wanted more training. But schools can't seem to inspire kids like Colin Hale. He'd rather work a grueling 11-hour overnight shift at minimum wage than study.
For homework, I can relax because if I don't understand a problem, I can skip it. But at work, can't do that.
And they say, you just can't do that.
Christy Hudgens, unfocused and unmotivated in school, is upbeat and conscientious at work, and she gets just $5 an hour. But as they leave Rockdale County High, Colin, Christy, and Chris can do no better than keep the same jobs that provided only spending money while they were in school. Somehow, you sense that deep down, they're capable of so much more.
He made excellent grades in kindergarten, and I thought, well, he's going to really go a long ways. And he got in there and started socializing, and he'd rather socialize than he had doing some schoolwork. So.
I'm glad to have him out of school and go to work now.
These loving parents hope for the best, but they are unsure about the future of their good kids.
I have some tears.
Christy barely passed her finals. Still, there is brave but maybe unrealistic talk about college.
I've just never been the type of person that is a book type person, but I like helping people. And I figured if I like helping people and things don't gross me out or whatever, I think that, I would enjoy, the medical field.
We need to do more guidance and counseling and aptitude testing and educating the students in the end of the 8th grade, early 9th grade about what the world of work is like.
Jack Becker, vice president of Lithonia Lighting, one of the largest local employers, says many teenagers just don't get the connection between study and success.
We have a lot more applications than we need.
They don't realize a standard high school diploma is only worth $5.50 an hour to start here on the production line. Down the hall, a technical school grad makes $12 to $14 an hour. Upstairs, a college engineering degree is worth $25 an hour. It wasn't until recently that all of us, and that includes industry, began to realize that the modern workplace demands a lot more than what is being taught in high school these days.
20 years ago, we would have said, drive in the parking lot, leave your brain in the car, come in, punch the clock, we'll tell you what to do. Today we're saying bring your brain with you. You need to know how to think, solve problems, work as a team, take responsibility, and apply physics and apply statistics.
Now, businessmen like Jack Becker are beginning to push schools to teach relevant skills.
Our long-term goals and objectives.
Becker won a seat on the local school board. It wasn't easy, but the board, along with school administrators, found the courage and the money to adopt an experimental high-tech curriculum for students who aren't going to college. So, beginning next fall, if they're not going to college, students like Chris and Christy and Colin will no longer be allowed to take the easy way out. Tougher math, science, and English courses will be mandatory.
You with me?
So will meaningful vocational training. But too late for the class of '93. Their night has arrived. They share a pride in their accomplishments in their school, yet there is an unspoken divide. Half the class will head for college this fall, with years to grow and learn. The others, with only a standard diploma, face their world tomorrow morning. Next, an old idea brings new hope.
I'm happy and thrilled, Professor Arnold. Hi. How are you? I'm learning. I have a goal. I would like to be the best that I could be and keep on going to school. These students are getting turned on to their future. The way I was 2 years ago was like, didn't care about anything, party, didn't do the schoolwork, didn't care. In a couple of years, she's sort of grown up all the night.
I wasn't really motivated when I came here. I didn't talk at me. Now they really can't shut me up.
Scott Reynolds and Susan Colarusso. 2 years ago, they were going nowhere. Now at 18, they have a future.
What do you think? Is this...
Thanks to a program called ProTech, Boston's Private Industry Council has linked 3 high schools to Boston's flourishing healthcare industry. The result? An old idea with a new twist. Apprenticeships. ProTech Director Lois Ann Porter.
So for us, youth apprenticeship really captures the real world in both an academic setting and in a workplace setting.
This is early intervention. High school juniors and seniors thrust into jobs that turn into careers.
If you can notice, these are all within the child.
Here's how it works. A science teacher, an English teacher, and a curriculum writer visiting the pediatric unit of New England Medical Center. They study the work and the machines, from CAT scans to pediatrics. Then they design a school curriculum with real-life application.
And then that was either able to go back to the classroom and incorporate exactly what is needed, what is workable.
What do you think? Is this a particularly different situation?
So teachers like John Dionato can make science relevant to these kids in school and at work.
We're trying to mix and match the knowledge aspect with the with reality.
That's what Scott Reynolds does every afternoon after classes at Massachusetts General Hospital.
Why don't you take me up to the walk? That's it.
Scott works and learns in the radiology department.
So you got your X-ray taken here, and have someone reading it down the street? That's right, around the country.
What's learned here seems to help in school.
My grades. That's the one thing that really improves my grades in school. No one does with me all the time.
Scott was never motivated. I used to call him Coach Potato until this last year. Until he's in this program and it's done wonders for him. My husband never graduated from high school. He works at State Hospital. It's not a skilled job.
I went to as far as the 7th grade. That's why I feel so happy that what he's done is something that's going to be a career for him. So it's a future.
Susan Colarusso never got called a couch potato. For their first impression in 8th grade.
But she looked mean. I really didn't speak to her because I was scared of her. Well, I thought she was going to be a dropout. What if I just drop out of high school now? What am I going to do? Live with my mother for the rest of my life? I want my own place, my own job.
This is her job now, doing lab work at Deaconess Hospital.
Oh, well, I love it here.
Susan, like the more than 100 students in ProTech, earns $6 an hour. She'll work full-time through the summer until she starts a college-level program in medical laboratory work.
You're fine with something.
That work may well be paving the way towards Susan's future.
He likes you, but he knows they get nothing but trouble.
And there is the instant reward.
I think we should do this often.
A paycheck now.
I'm getting them.
One more, three, here we go. You want to flow? Join with me. Wave your hands in the air from side to side and chill.
Once you get that paycheck, it feels good. He said, this is the fake one.
This ProTech program is beginning to attract attention. Labor Secretary Robert Reich touring New England Medical Center. The Labor Department has kicked in $1.5 million since 1990.
What do they need as far as their skills for chemistry?
Almost an old-fashioned apprenticeship.
Yes, it is.
Tony Dunn is apprenticing in the operating room.
How does it compare to the old way of learning in college?
It is much more exciting. I get hands-on experience.
So it really is the connection between
the hospital,
the work, and also the school. They are excited by the classroom. A lot of these kids would have dropped out had they not actually had the work experience that goes with the classroom experience.
Why have we been so slow in this society and this great industrial economy to respond to those kinds of needs? Do you think the educational institutions and the employers in America are now beginning to understand the real need for a synergy, a real relationship?
Business is beginning to step up to the bat. Educators are beginning to collaborate with business. Remember, for years, there were two camps. They didn't talk to each other. Just beginning. Now, we're seeing a real collaboration, which is essential. After today, I'm more resolved than ever that the youth apprenticeship programs that we're developing are moving in the right direction.
In fact, schools around the country just now are beginning to experiment with the idea of improving education and then combining that with training for real jobs.
Do you want both of those answers? Yeah.
Louisville, Fairdale High School. It's eliminated the general education diploma. It no longer separates college-bound kids from the others.
We eliminated courses that were not rigorous.
Fairdale's principal, Marilyn Holman.
Consumer math, general math, I call them math for the living dead.
Instead, a blending of the academic with the practical. That means classes that combine social studies with law enforcement.
And let's say they came upon a crime scene. They see the symbols, but they also know the mentality behind what's going on here. So everything's interconnected.
Fire science, hands-on training.
8 times 3 times 5.
Applied physics.
Ah, good.
Applied biology. All designed to prepare kids for the workplace without demanding a college degree.
There are a lot of good jobs for people with technical school background who have knowledge and skills and who know how to use data.
These experiments are popping up all over the country. In Oregon, high school students are selecting career paths from business to health services to government. In Tulsa, kids from 9 schools apprenticing in metalworking in firms like American Airlines. Seminole County, Florida, 40 apprenticeships in telecommunications at Siemens Stromberg Carlson. But are these efforts enough? Today's kids face unprecedented obstacles. Apprenticeship programs alone can't overcome them. Economic Development Specialist Joel Kottke.
You have technological innovation. You have productivity increases. You have the baby boom generation. And you have competition from overseas. All of these are eroding the opportunities that exist for the current generation of young people.
That erosion is visible everywhere, and it's leaving invisible scars.
We Americans have not experienced the kind of anxiety we are now experiencing about the future. We don't want and should not have a two-tiered economy in which simply the college grads are on an upward escalator and everybody else is on a downward escalator. That's what we have been creating in this country, and we can't afford it. It's going to fragment this nation.
But no such thought for Scott Reynolds now.
Well, this is what I want to do. It's interesting. It's something different every day.
Just thinking.
And Susan Colarusso knows what she'll never go back to.
I used to think, geez, what am I going to be the rest of my life bagging people's food?
Susan Colarusso.
And when I graduate from college, I'll finish the short career in the medical field.
The ProTech kids celebrated graduation in Boston Harbor. It's not a farewell. They will continue their hospital work as they continue their studies. But now they're better prepared for life's journey. They're eager to get on with it.
I'm getting trained now for the future. What are we doing 10 years from now?
I'm happy, I'm thrilled, the best time of my life. I never thought it would come.
End of World War II, this has been the American promise. The kids will look better than their parents. Well, now that promise is running out, at least for the time being, and to get it back on track is a monumental challenge. It means really reforming American education so young people emerge with real skills. It means creating millions of new jobs in this era of automation and fierce competition from foreign economies. We're all at risk here because if young people can't find jobs, if they lose faith, the fabric of America comes apart. And who then will pay for the benefits for older Americans, if not the young? Who will build for the next generation, if not the young? The challenge here is urgent. If Scott and Lori are to feel confident enough to start a family, if Dave Lewis can feel secure enough to marry his girlfriend, if Colin Hale is to do more with his life than stock grocery shelves, if Matt Shaw is to earn enough to afford college. It's already looking up for Rob and Michelle Barger. He found a new job, a bit more pay, but with benefits, and the promise of advancement. There are no quick fixes for members of the lost generation, but they don't have to be lost forever. They can find their way again, but the passage will be difficult, and it will be successful only if we're all making the tough choices together. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night for all of us at NBC News.
Well, I'm talking to everyone now, and I'm going to want to get your reactions to that last videotape. So if we can go to Okmulgee and Carlos, if you will, why don't you give us a few of the things that you've written down, some overall impressions that you've had from viewing that videotape in Okmulgee. Carlos?
I didn't realize that it'd be that desolate for everybody, but of course I haven't had to be out in the workforce or looking for work that much. Can you still hear me? Okay. I was the big jump in pay raise between just high school degree and technical degree. That would be quite the incentive for somebody to at least get a technical degree. It was also very obvious that integration is going to have to take place, and that's something we just have to work for. And as far as some of those guys' attitudes, I don't know about that, but surely that could improve too. That's a kind of a personal thing, but other than that, it's is that movie fairly current, or is that back in '93 still, or?
It actually aired in 1994, so like I said, it's about 3 years old right now.
That was fairly interesting, and it is. I can see how those guys are thinking as far as insecurity about family and everything, and I'd hate to think where I would be because I have 5 children, so I'd be in a bad position if I didn't have some sort of degree to help me with my employment.
Well, some good points, Carlos. I think that some of the situations that we see in that videotape, some have changed, but I think for a lot of people are still the same. Let's try to go over to Bill in Weatherford. Can you